Hey guys, and welcome back to another segment of our Combat Broadsword video. We've covered a fair amount of stuff at this point. We've covered basic footwork, basic body position, our defensive movements, and now we've even added a little bit of attack so that when we defend, we're able to return. What we're going to do today is we're going to add something that's a little bit of a signature broadsword move. Now this is another form of defend than attack, so it's not so different from what we've done, but this is what's going to really start making it look like taichi broadsword. Now, I tell people all the time, if you want to know what's really at the core of any particular fighting style, look at the form and see what they do over and over and over. And if you're familiar with the taichi broadsword form, which I would encourage you to be, you've probably seen that on a number of occasions in the form, you see this sort of movement where you're coming around this way. That's called head wrapping. There's a number of different names for it, but most commonly it's called head wrapping or head wrapping technique. This is a very signature, very common movement for broadsword because it's a good way to defend a large part of the body, but also a really good way to close ground. I've talked a lot about how broadsword is fought with this bent elbow, how we keep the arm close to the body. That means that I need to get close to my opponent if I'm going to be able to land a hit. I can't really reach way up. That's not the way I want to fight with this weapon, so I need to be able to get in there to the inside, and head wrapping is a really excellent way to do that, and that's why it appears over and over in the form, and that's why it's such a central technique to broadsword. It's not very complicated, but it can be done wrong, so I'm going to go over that with you a little bit, and then I'll pull Tom out here to give you a demonstration of what that looks like with two people. So, there's going to be two sides to head wrapping because I can wrap my head from either direction, and in the form you typically do one immediately followed by the other. So what I'm going to do is if I imagine my opponent is attacking from my left side, what I want to do is I want to drop the tip of the weapon down and roll my hand up towards my left shoulder. This is the initial motion. Now, that drop of the tip of the blade is important because if I just sweep over, what happens is, if you remember when I talked about defending above the head, I don't want to grab that blade and pull it into me. And if I just sweep this blade this direction, it's going to be really easy for me to end up outside my opponent's cut and then just pull them into my body. That is not an effective way to defend yourself. So I want to make sure I dip the tip of the blade down and come in under my opponent's weapon. Once I've trapped that, I'm going to bring the blade around the back of my body and finish that cut. Now, I don't necessarily want to whip that cut out because, again, I don't want to make a big cut. I want to keep that blade in nice and tight, and I'm going to show you why that works when I bring Tom out here because this is going to be a very close attack once I get to this point. Tip drops, blade rolls up towards the left shoulder, around the head, and cuts. Now, I've talked a number of times about how close you want to keep the broadsword to your body. I once had a teacher tell me that if you took black Sharpie and drew it on the back of the blade, you should be drawing lines across your body with how close the broadsword is. Now that may be a little extreme, but that idea is important in head wrapping because if this is a big open motion, all I'm doing is I'm opening up a lot of target for my opponent to counter into if I miss this defense. So I want to keep the broadsword tight to my body. In fact, this particular movement is sometimes called the garland of flowers. A garland of flowers is a decoration that you would wear around your neck. And so almost like that, I'm going to bring this over. I can almost lay the blade against my shoulder and my neck and use my body as leverage to whip that cut back out. So I can get this very tight, strong motion coming out of the body, okay? So I'm keeping it really close. Whether I actually bring the blade in or not, little differences in style. You'll see that in different styles of taichi broadsword. But I want to keep it very close, and I really want to lead that power from the waist and drive that elbow down. I don't want to try to force it with the arm. So I'm going to bring it up, connect, draw the hip, waist, and elbow down for that finishing cut. Now, that's one side. I said it goes to both ways, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to defend the other side. Again, same thing. I don't want to reach out because I'm just going to pull my opponent's cut into me. Tip's going to drop down. Hand is going to roll up towards my right shoulder. Now, you can see that defensive wall I'm building. Now, this is a very weak position. I want to get my arm in a stronger position, so I'm going to settle my hips in and bring this here so I've got a good, strong position behind me. I'm going to roll that blade around my body, and again, I can almost come across my shoulder if I want. I'm going to cut right in this way. Tip drops down, hand rolls up towards the right shoulder, cut around, okay? These are both very quick, very strong motions. And like I said, you see this over and over in the actual taichi broadsword form. These are motions that it's a good idea to get really good at. Now, when I demonstrate these motions, you're going to see me use my offhand a little bit. We haven't talked about the offhand yet. That's going to be our next video. But for now, we're just going to have you work with that, okay? So I'm going to bring Tom out here. I'm going to show you kind of how this looks. I'm going to have Tom square up with me right here. We're just going to go through this really slowly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Tom cut over here to my right side, just nice and slow. You'll see the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the tip down, because if I just reach out, you see where I am right now. No good. So I'm going to drop the tip down and bring this hand up. I'm going to block. Now here what I've got is I've got Tom to the outside and I'm going to pass under my own arm. What I don't want to do is I don't want to bring my blade back and cut. What I want to do is I actually want to come in and pass under my own arm, and you can see how close I am to Tom now. That's why I can keep this really tight, roll it right across the neck, and make this very close broadsword style cut. Okay? Same thing to the other side. If he cuts to this side, again, I'm going to drop the tip down, roll the hand up to block. You can see I've turned into it, so I've got a good strong leverage. I'm going to come into his attack, capture that hand, and I've got this nice big turning cut into his side here. So in both these instances, I'll just show you both of those one more time. So to this side, I'm just going to make a quick cut to the inside, and to the other side, I'm just going to make a quick rolling cut to the outside, okay? So those are going to be our head wrapping techniques. These are really good things to practice because, like I said, these can be really excellent ways to close ground very quickly and very effectively with an opponent, which makes a lot of difference with broadsword because broadsword is a heavy weapon, but it's an intimidating weapon. So if you can really surge forward on your opponent, you're going to get them on the back foot. You're going to win a lot of bouts that way, okay? So next time we'll start talking about the offhand. Make sure you click subscribe so that you don't miss any of our great videos. Please throw a like on this so everyone will know how great we are. We'll see you guys next time.